Hi, now we are going to see about the logic families. So, logic families consist of the logic circuits in which many integrated circuit, that means ICs, has been implemented. There are small scale integrated circuits, large scale integrated circuit, very large scale integrated circuit, and ultra large scale integrated circuits. But all the advantages of an integrated circuits were it reduces the overall size. And as IC will be a small box type. It consists of 8 to 18 input and output pins. So it reduces the size can be reduced from small ICs to large ICs will be there. I told you small scale, large scale and very large scale. So and the reliability has been improved as it is small and it can be more reliable. The cost will be reduced or a very small voltage is required for this. The power consumption has been reduced very greatly because the miniature circuit consists less power. Only 5 volt is required for an IC. Okay, so but the limitations of an IC is more. If you want to integrate a large amount of voltage or current, it cannot. This IC cannot be handled this. Moreover, resistor, inductor, transformers, and large capacitors cannot be implemented on this chip. Only the gates can be implemented. So the power circuit operation, it is used only for a low power circuit operation. And the ICs has been fabricated in two types. One is a bipolar transition and unipolar transistor. TTL, ECL, that which we have to know is comes under bipolar transition, and MOS and ZMOS comes under unipolar transistor. Okay, so before that we have to know some specifications. What you mean by threshold voltage, propagation delay, like that we have to know. So this will come as 2 more questions for you. So what do you mean by threshold voltage? So it is the voltage at the input of a gate which causes a change in the state of the output from one logic level to another. Okay, that means when the voltage is applied to the input of the gate, just consider one AND gate or NAND gate. So the voltage that you are giving over here will occurs a change inside, okay, the output. So the change in the output, it occurs a change in the output state from one logic level to another. So when this circuit goes to another AND gate, there will be there will be a change over here. There is a change over here. That change will be going back to the next transistor. So that is called the threshold voltage. Then the propagation delay. Propagation delay, it is the pulse. The electric pulses that a gate has a certain amount of time to propagate from input to output. So the pulse that is passing to the transistor or sorry to the gates will take a certain amount of time from the input to output. This delay is called as propagation delay. It is taken by the average of the transition delay, TPLH. TPLH is nothing but the low to high propagation delay and high to low propagation delay. When you're taking that, uh, that means your low to high and high to low propagation delay, the time delay that you're taking, and that taking the average of the two, you will get the total propagation delay time. Then comes power dissipation. Okay, power dissipation is it is defined as the power required by the gate to operate with 50% duty cycle. This is very important. A 50% of duty cycle is required at the specific frequency. So then only the power, or you can say that it is VCC, the total power voltage that is coming into the input current, average input current by the number of gates. Okay, this is important. Sometimes problems will be asking, so you have to know. So where IGC, that means the input current, the current drawn from the supply at the entire IC. Okay, the average current that is drawn, that is equivalent to the current drawn from the IC when all the gates are high plus the current drawn from the IC when all the gates are at the low state. Average of that two, you will get the ICC average into the total voltage, gate supply voltage divided by the number of gates. Okay, then comes next, you have to know about fan in. Fan in is nothing but it is the number of inputs that the gate are designed to handle. So how many inputs that a gate can handle, it is called the fan in, and how many output that input gate is handling, how many other gates are called the fan out. It is also called as the fan out is called as the loading factor. Maximum number of standard load that the output of the gate can drive without impairing at its normal operation. These are the important terms. It is the maximum number of standard loads. Here the figure is given. So how many loads it can, how many output load it can drive without impairing this normal operation. Only one gate is here. It can be considered as number of gates can be connected into a single input gate. So how many it can impair with its normal operation is called as fan out. That we call as loading factor. So your input how many inputs that external devices you can connect, that is called as fan out. Then comes the noise margin. Okay, it is a maximum noise signal that can be added to the input signal of a digital circuit without causing an undesirable change in the circuit output. In many cases there will be some changes, some noises will be induced in the circuit. Whatever circuit you are taking, some small amount of noises will be induced. So if the signal or the circuit causing undesirable change, without causing undesirable change in the, they should not cause any change in the circuit operation or the circuit output. Without changing the circuit output, if a noise is induced in it, that is called as the noise margin, or the noise, it is can be called as noise immunity. So what is noise immunity? It is a logic circuit referred to the circuit's ability to tolerate noise voltage at its input. Okay, same. You can either write that answer or this. Then the quantity measured of the noise immunity is called as noise margin. You can write any of these terms. Then comes the last one, speed power product. So speed power product is nothing but the product of the total power dissipated to the total propagation delay into the power dissipated. Okay, so you have to know all the equations, okay, in the previous. So what is threshold voltage, propagation delay, power dissipation, fan in, fan out, noise margin, then speed power product. Okay, so these are the minimum terms that you have to come through. Next we are going to see about a transistor logic for a NAND gate. So transistor logic consists of, you can see resistors, diodes, transistors are connected over here. So using the electric resources you are able to design a NAND gate. Okay, we know NAND and NOR are called as the universal gates, in which you can obtain all the other gates using a NAND and NOR, or you can make all the other gates using NAND and NOR. So using this transistor logic device, you should obtain a NAND gate. NAND gate operation you can perform. How? We can see. Okay, here the circuit diagram is given over here. It consists of four transistors, Q1, Q2, Q3 and Q4. Okay, and Q1 is acting as a multi-emitter transistor. You can see it has two emitters over here. So multi-emitter transistor which is connected to a two diodes. We are using this as these diodes D1 and D2 to protect the negative spikes voltage at the input. If there is any negative pulses voltage are coming at the terminal input of the device, okay, to avoid that or to bypass that spikes to ground, you are using these two diodes. So this is a multi-emitter and the two diodes are used to reduce the negative spikes that are occurring over here. Okay, then this is acting as a, Q2 is acting as a phase splitter. It splits the voltage into two. So whatever voltage is getting over here will be able to conduct the Q4 transistor. Okay, and Q3 and Q4 is Q4 transistor. Q3 and Q4 is along with the diode is called a totem pole. Why are calling it as a totem pole? Either Q3 or Q4 transistor will be acting at a time. Both won't be simultaneously working because of the diode. Only one. Either this will be on. If this is on, this will be off. If this is on, this should be off. So for that you are connecting a diode over here. So this will act as a totem pole. And Q3 is also called as an emitter follower transistor. Okay. For example, we can see how the NAND operation can be performed. When both the inputs are high, when A and B are high, so when the voltage applied over here is coming to over here, when both are high, it will be a reverse bias. No voltage will be passing through over here. If both are high, so it will be an over. So this will be reverse biased. The current can't flow through this. So it will be reverse bias, whereas the current over here will fall through a collector base to Q2. So current will flow over here, and here what happens? Q2 gets on. As Q2 is on, it splits the current and it will make Q4 also in the on stage. So what happened? The voltage that is coming over here gets reduced. Okay, only a small amount of current here. It is a space splitter. It splits the only a small amount of current is coming over here, and this won't make Q3 on. So the Q3 doesn't get enough current to make the transistor on, so it will be in the off state. So what happens when both the inputs are high, that is passing over here, this will be on and it is connected to the ground, so the output will be 0. So both are high, output will be 0. In the other case, when both the inputs are low, or when one is low or high, high or low, that means 0 0 0 1 or 1 0 condition, what happens? This will be in the reverse bias. So this will be on forward biased. This will be forward biased. This will be in the reverse bias, which makes Q2 off, whereas Q4 will also get it off. So the current that is flowing over here will completely comes over here. Both the currents that is coming over here completely comes over here and make the transistor Q3 on. Thereby the output will be in high state. Okay, it is given over here. Q1 is acting as a multi-emitter transistor, Q2 has a phase splitter, Q3 is also acting as an emitter follower, whereas Q3 and Q4 along with the diode forms the totem pole arrangement. So the diode D1 and D2, the first diode that is connected to Q1, forms the negative spikes of voltage, protects D1 from Q1 from negative spike of the voltage as the input. When the negative voltage or the spikes appears at the input terminal, the diode conducts and bypasses the spikes to the ground. The diode D, Q3 and Q4 do not conduct simultaneously. I told you it is a totem pole. Either any of the ones should be conducted at a time. When both the inputs are high, Q1 will be reverse biased, so no current flows through Q1. Therefore, the collector base junction of Q1 is forward biased, so the current flows from R1 to the base Q2 and Q2 turns on. When Q2 is on, Q4 will also be on. Due to the drop across the R2, it makes Q3 in the off state. Since Q4 is on, voltage is at the low level, so the output is at the logic 0. That's what the condition we have seen. Okay. When either A or B or both are low, that is 0 0 0 1 or 1 0 state, the base emitter are forward bias and the collector base junction of Q1 is reverse bias. So no current flows through Q1, therefore Q2 and Q4 will be in the off state. No current will flow to the base emitter junction. The transistor Q3 gets enough base drive, which makes the transistor Q3 in the on state. That is the output that we have seen. 1 0 state is also there. Okay. So approximately a 3.4 to 3.8 voltage is required for Q3 to make the voltage high. Okay. Similarly, there are other two sources, current sinking and current sourcing is there. That means a circuit that acts as a current current sink in low state is that it receives the current from the input of the gate it is driving. So how many current that is getting into the input, that is called as current sinking. Low state, it sinks the current. So it is low state is that it receives the current from the input of the gate it is driving. So Q4 is the current sinking transistor and it pulls down the transistor. So it gets the current, but it is pulling the current to the ground level. So it is called as pull down transistor. And current sourcing is, or pull up transistor is that it is the current in the high state, okay, that it supplies the current to the gate it is driving. Okay, so how many current it is getting and getting the output high is called as the current sourcing. So Q3 is a current sourcing, whereas Q4 gets the current but it is lowering the current, it is called as the current sinking. Okay, hope you got this much. Next we can see what you mean by a, how you can connect a TTL inverter to it. Okay, next we are going to see a TTL inverter. Okay, before we said how to make a NAND gate, so now how you can make an inverter. Inverter is nothing but a NOT gate. Okay, how you can make using these transistors. Here the previous transistor, here it was given as a multi-emitter transistor. So a diode was connected over this to obtain a NAND gate. Instead of that, one of the transistor emitter, one of the base emitter is given to a enable pin and the diode is given over here, D1. Okay, and this is acting as a totem pole itself, has the same in the previous section we have seen. All the transistors are same. Q1 is emitter transistor, emitter based transistor. Q2 is a phase shifter. Q3 and Q4 act along with the diode acts as a totem pole. Only the difference is that a diode is connected in between the transistor. Here, this TTL inverter is also called as a tri-state inverter. Tri-state TTL, or three states can be obtained over here. A high state, a low state and a high impedance state can be also obtained over here. Okay, the operations of this are same. All the operations over here are same. Only the difference is the help of the enable pin. So what happens is that when the enable pin is high, that means 1, the basic operation can be performed. That is, when you're giving a 0 over here, or let it be 0. So when 0 is over here, what happens? This will be forward biased, where this will be reverse biasing, making Q2 off. Okay, and whereas Q3 will also be, Q4 will also be off, and the voltage that is coming over here will pass us over here to make Q3 on, and the output will be high. So when the input A is 0, enable pin is 1, A is 0, what happens? Output will be 1. In the same condition, when enable pin is 1, okay, and you're giving the input as 1, this will be reversed biased. No current passes over here, reverse bias. So the current coming over here will flow to the base collector, okay, base collector, and it will come make Q2 on. Q2 will be on, whereas Q4 will also be on, and there will be a phase splitter over here in which the voltage cannot be given, complete current cannot be drawn over here to Q3. So what happens? Q3 will be in off state, therefore the output will be in the 0 state. So you got, when your input is 0, you got your output 1, when you give 1, you get your output as 0. Okay, and this is the high state, this is low state, and one more state is there, that is the high impedance state. High impedance state is that both the transistors will be off. Here there is totem pole is used not for totem pole is used as only one of the transistor should get off at a time. Both should not get off simultaneously. But in this condition, what happens when the enable pin is 0? Okay, and whatever input conditions you are giving over here, this will be in a forward bias. So this will be in reverse bias. This won't work, and the current that is completely drawn over here will make the diode activated. Okay, this is one, no? So this will make the diode activated, so no current will be passing through Q3. So both will be off at the same time. That is called the high impedance state. So whatever input you are giving over here, output will be in a high impedance state. That means you won't get a correct output over there. Both will be get off. Both the transistors will be off. That is given over here. Three possible states are there: high, low and high impedance state. High impedance state means both the transistor and totem pole arrangement turns off. The tri-state operation is obtained by modifying the basic totem pole circuit. Here the circuit has two inputs: A, the normal logic input, and E is the enable input that produces the high impedance state. When E is 1, the circuit operates as a normal inverter because of the high voltage at E has it has no effect on Q1 and Q2. In this condition, the output is simply the inversion of the logic input A. I told you, when E is 1, whatever input you are giving to A, either a 0 or 1, you will get the operation of an inverter as such. So when E is 0, the circuit goes into the high impedance state regardless of the state of the logic input A. So this is the comparison table. Okay. So in TTL, when you're using a TTL, you have a propagation delay time of 9 nanoseconds. Power dissipation, I told you it is in millivolt. You have a 10. Noise margin will be 0.4 volt. Fan in 8, fan out 10, and the cost will be low. In ECL, it will be propagation delay will be 1, power dissipation 50, okay, noise margin 0.25, fan in 5, fan out 10, and the cost will be high. So you have to know about TTL, ECL, and CMOS. Okay, you can go through, and if you have any doubt, just ask me. Thank you.